This is the third assignment for the second quiz in the second trimester for Algebra 2. Again, you might want to read over the highlighted parts of this, which are the very important parts. Now we are going to do exactly the same thing that we did in the first assignment, just from a graphing approach. So, which is the initial piece might be a little bit more work. So you have to pay attention to the 1, 2, and the 3. And then the shift, either we're shifting or reflecting about the X or Y axis. There's not going to be any of the stretching or compressing pieces to this. So with graphing, that's too hard to recognize. So you will not have any of the compressing, stretching ones to do, which makes this a little easier. So from 1 to 2, notice that we slid 3 units to the right and 6 units up. So I'm going to treat the X part first, 3 units to the right, and then 6 units up. And then remember, when we substitute in, we substitute the inverse in. So X minus 3 for X, Y minus 6 for Y. And then when we do that, we simplify on the X side and then we solve for Y. And then the third thing is we went about the X axis with the reflection. So then we replace Y with negative Y. So it's always the opposite variable gets replaced with the opposite. So we got to do all that, starting with Y equals X squared. So X minus 3 in for X and Y minus 6 in for Y. So you can do this at the same time. When it's a translation, you can treat two translations, if one is X, one is Y, at the same time. There's nothing at all wrong with that. So we have a FOIL product to do, and then we have to add 6. So we'll do the FOIL product first, X squared minus 6X plus 9, and then we have to add 6. And that makes plus 15. All right, now we replace Y with negative Y and solve for Y. So in solving for Y, we run the negative through. So the final function is negative X squared plus 6X minus 15. And if you put that into a grapher, you would see, if you put X squared in and then the negative 6 or negative X squared plus 6X plus minus 15, you would get graph 3. What about graph 2? Well, if you want to graph 2, you would have to put in X squared minus 6X plus 15, what you got up to that point. You don't need to do that, by the way. All right, you might want to stop the video and try problem 2, see what you can come up with, and then check your work. So the first transformation from 1 to 2. So this 1 doesn't correspond to this one. It's the slide, the shifting. So 5 to the right and 3 down. So 5 to the right and 3 down. So X minus 5 goes in for X, and then Y plus 3 will go in for Y. And same idea, simplify on the X side, solve for Y on the Y side. Then we reflect it about Y. So X gets replaced with negative X. All right, so we got to do this. Somewhere is the parent function on this page, absolute value of X. So a lot of people get all nervous about, oh, we haven't studied these functions very much. It doesn't matter. It's just all in the algebra. Okay, so start with the parent function and then do these things. So Y plus 3 goes in, and then X minus 3, or I'm sorry, X minus 5 goes in for X. Okay, so can't do any simplifying on the X side, but we can subtract 3 over. Do not subtract it inside the absolute value. And then step 3, X gets replaced with negative X, and then we have to try to do any simplifying, which there is not any simplifying. So this is the final product. All right, on to problem 3. So stop the video, see if you can get this right. They're really pretty easy once you get it. So 1 goes to 2, so shifting 3 left and 5 up. So 3 left and then 5 up. So x plus 3 in for x, and then y minus 5 in for y. I eventually get the questions, do we have to write the table out all the time? And my answer is, you better be darn good. Some of you are. If you feel comfortable with not writing it out, that's okay, but people forget to take the inverse expression and then they end up messing everything up. And then 2 to 3 is about x. So y gets replaced with negative y. All right, so square root of x is our parent, and y plus 5 and y minus 5. I'm not paying attention again. I have you guys to yell at me for not paying attention. Y minus 5 in for y, and then x plus 3 in for x. Simplify in the x side, which you can't, and add 5. And now the last thing is to replace y with negative y and solve. So you're just running a negative through the whole right-hand side when you do that solving. And I probably should write that before All right, again, stop the video and try number 4. Okay, so we have linear transformations here, which is about as easy as it gets. So it looks like we went from 1 to 2, 2 right and 5 up. So 2 right and 5 up. So x minus 2 goes in for x, y minus 5 goes in for y. And then from 2 to 3, it looks like there was a reflection across the across the x axis, which would replace y with negative y. It's always the opposite variable that gets replaced. All right, and we're starting with 1/3 x. So again, you can replace both the x and the y at the same time with translations. You can't with anything else, but since they're really kind of the same thing, you can put both of those. So 1/3 x minus 2/3 plus 5. So that's minus 2/3 plus 15/3. Oh, 13/3. Minus 2/3 plus 15/3. It's 13/3. I did that mentally. And now y gets replaced with negative y. So this again just involves running the negative through the right side. These are easier. They're less steps. You don't have the compression stretching because it's too hard to tell with graphs what's going on. So try 5 and then come back to the video. So from 1 to 2, that's it. So be careful and understand that the 5 over x is all of this graph here. All of my highlighted graph is one graph, and then I don't have a different color, but these 2 other branches are the shifting. So there's 2 branches that they're part of the graph, but they're not concerned with the point that's getting shifted. So 1 to 2, we went 4 left and 3 down. 4 left and 3 down. 4 left, 3 down, from 1 to minus 3, and then 5 down to 2. So x plus 4 for x, y plus 3 for y. And that's it. So again, you can do these at the same time. So the y plus 3 can go in, and then the x plus 4 can go in. Subtract 3, and that's it. So there's no simplifying on the x side. Remember, when you substitute in for x, you got to try to simplify. When you substitute in for y, you have to solve for y. That's the rules with this. And there it is. All right, on to problem 6. We have a total of 8 problems, actually 7 problems. See if you can figure it out, and then come back to the video. Okay, from 1 to 2, it looks like we went 3 right and 4 down. So 3 to the right and 4 down. And then it looks like we had an x-axis reflection. So we need to put x minus 3 in for x. We need to put y plus 4 in for y and solve for y. And then negative y in for y. You can write it either way. I've been going back and forth. Don't get confused with it. So you can say x gets replaced with x minus 3, y gets replaced with y plus 4, y gets replaced with negative y. Either way. All right, so starting with this, we have a cube function. I'm going to put the y plus 4 in and then the x minus 3 in together. So we need to solve for y and simplify. So there is some simplifying we can do. That becomes x minus 5. And then minus the 4 over. Really, this ends up being pretty easy. Once you stay organized, and see, that's the whole reason I think I have a math career, is because I'm organized in my thoughts, my approaches to things. I can organize information. All right, so run the negative through and you'll have it. Don't put it inside the parentheses. Don't put it inside the parentheses to keep it in front. So negative x plus 5 cubed plus 4. All right, final problem. See if you can do it. Come back to the video. From 1 to 2, we went 2 to the right and 4 up. And then we went from 2 to 3 about x, reflected about x. Okay, so x minus 2 goes in for x, y minus 4 goes in for y, and then negative y for y. Sine of x, function we haven't studied yet. It's just a wave, but you still do the same thing. Y minus 4 equals sine of x minus 2. Solve for y. There's no simplifying you can do. And now put in negative y for y and run it through the right side. Don't put it into the parentheses. So, last problem, simplified out, is that. All right, so this ends the material. And the next video is a practice quiz video. I only have 3 practice quizzes because they were a lot to make. So I think with 3 and there are a lot to do also. I think 3 is enough, and I'll do one of the 3 and then you have the other 2 to do.